morning and assalamualaikum to all people out there. This is DJ, your favorite DJ from Sarawak FM. Hope all of you doing good today. As usual, this morning we will resume our segment to our listener. Today we will be having a sharing on the human development theory. First of all, I would like to welcome you all to this show. In this occasion, we would like to have an education segment. For this great morning, we would like to share about human development approach theory. I know approach theory. I know some of you are tired of facing traffic jam this morning, so let's hear a little bit of sharing from us. Before this segment begins, I would like to introduce our panelists today. The first panelist is Ewan Tosius, the second is Cairo Anwar, the third is No Alia, and the last but not least is No Diana Adira. Take note that all of them are from the Faculty of Social Science and Humanities in UNIMAS. Let's us hear they have in mind that can be shared with us today. Without further ado, I would like to welcome the first panelist to deliver what is the theory is all about. All right, Mr. Avantosius, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you to the moderator. And today we will discuss about human development. Human development is defined as the process of enlarging people, freedoms and opportunities and improving their well-being. Human development is about the real freedom ordinary people have to decide who to be, what to do, and how to live. The human development concept was developed by the economist Mahbub ul Haq. Dr. Haq argued that existing measure of human progress failed to account for the true purpose of development. In particular, he believed that the commonly used measure of gross domestic product failed to adequately measure the well-being. Working with Amir Tassin and other gifted economists in 1999, Dr. Haq published the first human development report, which was commissioned by the United Nations Development Program. Central to the human development approach is the concept of the capabilities. Capabilities is about the what people can do and what they can become. This is the equipment of one has to pursue of life value. Basic capabilities valued by the virtually everyone include good health, access to the knowledge, and a decent material to the standard of living. Other capabilities central to the fulfilling life could include the ability to participate in the decision that affect one's life, to have control over one's living environment, to enjoy freedom from violence, to have a societal respect, and to relax and have fun. Our capabilities are expanded by our own effort and by the institution and condition of our society. Without basic capabilities, human potential remain unfulfilled. The capabilities approach is a normative framework used for analyzing the well-being, often employed to understand the development problems. Although certain aspects of the approach can be linked to the Aristotle and Adam Smith, it is a philosopher of economists, Amartya Sen, and more recently, the University of Chicago professor of law and ethics, Martha Nussbaum, who are responsible for its development and proliferation. The core premise of the capability approach is the well-being and should be defined by people's real and actual opportunities to undertake the pursuit that they desire, and though these freedoms be whom they would like to be. One illustration of the difference between capabilities to function and formal freedom is found in the area of educational opportunity. That's all from me. Thank you.
Are you tired already? Are you relaxed lah? That just was an introduction only. So I would like to welcome Mr. Kairo Anwar for the next. Mr. Kairo Anwar, in the case of India, how do you see the nation related with the theory of human development approach? What seems to inhibit the human development process in India, and what the real HDI problem faced by the country?
Okay, thank you to the moderator for inviting me for this session. Okay, I will discuss about how the country of India experiencing problem in healthcare system, access to the knowledge and income equality of. Okay, firstly is how the Indian facing a problem with healthcare system. Okay, this is a very significant differences in the quality of coverage of medical care in India. Healthcare in India are vary between the state and rural area. The problem of doctoral deprivation is common in rural area, and state disparity mean that the residents of India poorer states such as like Bihar often have less access to adequate of healthcare than the wealthier state residents. Since India healthcare system does not provide adequate coverage, many of Indian people turn to private healthcare provider, which are generally out of reach for the poor. This will indeed cause a hardship to the rural poor in India. Although the provision of insurance is available to help pay for the healthcare costs, often by the employer, but most of Indian cannot afford to buy any insurance. Secondly, is about how the Indian people access to knowledge. In Indian in India, right of education fundamental requirement is free and compulsory. The provision ensure that every Indian citizen receive education up to age 14 without any discriminations. However, however, the situation is seems quite different when the Indian has different literacy rates. This is give a gap between literacy gap between the area of urban and rural area. So the rural area does not have enough resources such as the lack of infrastructure for the school, bench, playground, laboratory, and bedroom. Also have not enough in the textbook such as for the learning for the learnings. Okay, but the main problem is the rural area is one school. So the problem when the other people from other states should travel to the 400 mile to go any education. So this is a big problem for the rural area. Okay, third is about the income inequality. Structural change in the economy have resulted in increased economic inequality. This we can get what happened in the area of Palanpur in India. Change in use of technology in agriculture have been successful in helping the region reduce the poverty rates, income levels, and so on. But it has been a great increase non-farm activity in this area. This is led of inequality between the non-activity farm and the agriculture. When the non-activity farm has not been headed. So this is seen as one of the new problem faced by the Indian, where this is imbalance has realized problems such as poverty and income differences. Okay, thank you. That's all for me from me. Next, I will hand to our director. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Khairul Anwar. Next, I would like to welcome Miss Noalia. So, Miss Noalia, as a philosophy student, how do you perceive this theory based on your understanding?
Thank you, Johari, Mr. Johari. So, as a student, what I have learned is that this theory is based on the human-centered itself, which you can see that they are not emphasizing on the economic potential itself, but now they are progressing and they're centralizing on the human as the vital the main in this theory. So often we can see that previously gross domestic product GNI has been the great measure as an indicator in measuring the country, either they are developed or they are doing well or they are not. But then this theory are the either way around, whereby they have seen that human, the value of human, and then how can it can create capabilities of empowerment of the human being itself. So I don't want to touch on the theories itself because my friends have gone through in details what happens. But then at this, I would like to say my perspective in the sense of this theory, what is their strength and what is the weaknesses. So often that we can see that the developed country, that there's always a gap between the developed and also developing country. So in a developed country per se, like Singapore, they have a higher, let's say, they have the higher means of income, they have a higher means of educations, higher means of healthcare system. But this is not happening in India, well, as you know, India is still a developing countries. So therefore, the main weaknesses that I can see is that inequalities actually hinder the process of human development itself. Like as you can see, healthcare system in India are being provided by both private and also by the government. However, the inequalities here came when in the rural area the access has cannot be reached, whereby the healthcare system is not being able to be reached by the rural area. So therefore, how they are going to have a sustainable, in the sense of healthcare. And then the other part of inequalities can be seen through the education itself. Well, in India in 2019, although there is an increase of 10% of people going to the school and the women going to the school. However, we are still far. They are still far behind, like as compared to Singapore. So therefore, the gender the gender inequalities has inhibit in the sense of them attaining the knowledge itself. And that another weaknesses of this theory is that we need to take account that every country have their own capabilities, have their own resources. So like India, they might have in the sense of in inadequate in allocation, resource allocation. So therefore their priorities might be different as compared to Singapore. So therefore you can see that the reason why Singapore is doing better in the sense of education as compared to India is because their priorities, because they are limited in the sense of resources itself. So therefore, that is the weaknesses. And as we go deep, is that the strength that we can see is that obviously it creates a high increase in the freedom, because the human can have the access to education, access to healthcare, and then it also creates a increase in the better standard of living. So therefore that is my perspective as if it on this theory that I have learned in class. So therefore, thank you, Mr. Johari. I'll pass the floor to you back.
All right, Miss Noalia, thank you for that sharing. This segment not finished already. So the last but not least, I would like to welcome Miss Nordiana Adira, our last panelist for this segment this morning. So Miss Nordiana Adira, the floor is yours.
Thank you to the moderator. For my part, I will discussing on my view for development issue in India. There are many aspects that India must concentrate on for them to end their development issue in their country. India is still a low-income country with high poverty, ill health, malnutrition, illiteracy, a large gender gap, and deep social division. So there are a lot of initiatives or solutions to help with development issue. From my point of view, India still show that corruption has emerged as the biggest problem facing the country today. A large section of population in India is poor and uneducated, which necessitates huge public investments for the provisions of basic needs. Most of the rules and regulations are complicated and unclear, so their interpretation is at the discretion of the bureaucrats. These conditions have been responsible for widespread corruption in India. In India, corruption exists at high, middle, and at petty or lower level. Malpractices at the education or implementation levels for the public projects or during deliveries of services are the examples of middle-level corruption. The petty-level corruption frequently occurs in everyday life. Though the amounts are small, it is still exploitative in nature. India needs to improve governance. India's pride lies having the longest and most detailed constitution of the world. On the other hand, the government is not up to the norms. Governance problems stem from the increasing inability to deliver public services in the face of rising expectation, coupled with the lack of political will. India is a huge bloc with several petite distinct sections. By decentralizing provisions of public services, the government can unbundle responsibilities across tiers of the government to create checks and balances. The use of greater transparency and information can allow more accountability and increased citizens' voice in ensuring ensuring good governance. The nation can progress only if there is good governance. There can be no good governance unless moral values are inculcated in the people. There is no way out but to change the system if it is not value based. Corruption is a global phenomenon, and hence fighting corruption at the global level should be the first priority, even at the international level. Last but not least, changing attitudes toward females, offering education, training, employment, and support services, and highlighting women's rights and legislation. Thank you. That's from me. Next, I hand it back to our moderator.
All right, Miss Nodiana Adira, thank you for that sharing. So yeah, I would like to say a big thank you for our panelists today for the great sharing info today. So next morning, guess what? The topic we will bring to you. Don't forget to turn on your radio tomorrow. This is DJ Joe, your favorite DJ from Sarawak FM. Thank you guys for your attention this lovely morning. Remember, don't stress, huh? Drive safely and bye bye.